living with the stories about the banquets in Luke chapter 14 and the one about the man with dropsy, how Jesus noticed this marginalized person and treated him with respect and dignity, gave him a place at the feast. That's been sticking with me this week. In fact, it reminded me of a time a long time ago, back when I was in another city, spent a night on the street with the homeless. It was part of a campaign for the homeless. The churches were raising money to support homeless ministries, and so a number of ministers were sent out one night with homeless shepherds, fellas who were homeless that were known by the ministries, and they kind of shepherded us through a typical evening, an overnight of how things would be for them on the streets. The shepherd that I went with was a wonderful man, lots of really interesting conversations, and I asked him what was the hardest thing about his life, and thinking he'd talk about the difficulty of food and shelter and clothing, and he said, no, none of those things, those are all problems, obviously. He said, but the biggest problem, he said, my biggest struggle is the way that I'm invisible. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, when I walk down the street or stand on a street corner, nobody looks at me. They walk right past me. Nobody looks me in the eyes. He says he tries. He says good morning. He says hello. He says, but nobody will meet his eyes. He said, I'm a human being, and I just want someone to recognize that. Those words were incredibly convicting. And ever since that night on the streets, I have tried to notice people. In the nursing homes, the folks who sit by the door in wheelchairs and who are just looking for some human contact. It's always incumbent upon me to make eye contact and to say hello. Children in church who are so often overlooked, to look them in the eye and to say hello. And in our culture today, when I see a Muslim woman or a Muslim man, I make it a point of trying to make eye contact and to give them a greeting, to let them know that I see their humanity and that I care about them as a fellow pilgrim on this journey. This is, I think, one of the most important things we can do in this day and age, and that is simply to notice the people who are around us. In that notice, there is grace.